So guys, in this session, we will be starting our new topic, that is MongoDB. We will be talking about what is MongoDB, and we will be discussing what are its benefits with the Python, why do we use it, and then from our next session, we will be starting working on it. First of all, talking about MongoDB. So DB over here is already telling you that it is a database. Mongo is a database basically. Then what are all its features? Because we have already covered SQLite and we have also covered MySQL. Now what is this MongoDB? Let's discuss that. So guys, MongoDB is one of the most popular NoSQL database. Now what does this NoSQL database means over here? Let's understand that. Like in SQL, what happens when we send any data, they goes in the format of rows and columns. That means we need to create a table first. Inside the table we have columns, and every new data gets inserted in a new row, right? But here we do not create any rows. Like for example, if I just give you an example here, if I talk about the SQL database, here we have like serial number, we have the name, then we have the age, and then we have maybe other thing, for example, marks of the student, and all these things are there. Like we have one, the name is let's say John, then the age is let's say 13, marks is let's say 90, then we on number 2 we get David, then we have his age as 15, the marks are let's say 87. Okay, this is how we get the data in the SQL languages. But at the same time, if I talk about MongoDB, in MongoDB, the data gets stored in the format of a document. So here also it is given that MongoDB stores data in JSON-like documents. Now, what is JSON-like? Just like how in JSON we talked about that the data goes in the format of a dictionaries. Similarly, here also the data goes in the format of a dictionaries, in the format of a document over here. So here it is not limited to any horizontal limit. Suppose like what happens when we create a table. In table, if we want to give any extra data, for example, let's say for David, I also have the data for the fees. I want to add fees data, but now the fees column is not only there. But at the same time in MongoDB, what happens, because we send it with the help of a dictionary, every data for a different student gets stored in a different area over there. So you can provide with as many columns you want, as many rows you want, and whatever data you want to give. So you can provide whatever you want. There is no horizontal limit basically. So this is what MongoDB is. MongoDB does not store data in the table or relational format, rather provide a different mechanism for storage and retrieval of data. So not just for the storing of data, but even if you want to retrieve the data, for that also we have a different approach than MySQL or SQLite. So MongoDB stores data in JSON-like documents. That's why MongoDB offers high speed, high availability, and high scalability. So MongoDB is used even more than MySQL at times, and it serves with high speed, high scalability, and a lot of people prefer it as it is a free source as well. Moving ahead and talking about why we should opt for MongoDB and what is the combination of MongoDB and Python, let's have a look on that. So it supports hierarchy data structure. So we have, let's say, if I talk about the documents, we can send the data in the format of a document. It supports associate arrays like dictionaries in Python. So simply in Python, the dictionary is very simple thing that we have a key and we have a value. These key value pairs get stored in the format of a document inside the MongoDB. Built-in Python drivers to connect Python applications, so we do not have to do anything. All we need to do is install PyMongo, and just like how we connect with the MySQL, how we connect with the SQLite, similarly here we need to set up a connection between the database and our program. Next, it is designed for big data. So if you have a big data over here means that if you have a lot of information, a lot of raw data you have, or if you want to store a huge amount of data, in that case we can use MongoDB. And also lastly, the deployment of MongoDB is very easy. So these are some key features of MongoDB. I hope you have got a little idea that what MongoDB is and how we can relate it with the Python. So guys, in our previous session we have discussed what is MongoDB, and in our today's session we will be talking about how to install MongoDB.
If you want to become a successful data analyst and if you want to learn data analytics live from our industry experts, WsCube Tech got you covered. We bring you a complete course on data analytics where we will be starting our journey with the Excel. Moving ahead, we'll be talking about the databases where we'll be learning MySQL. And then for visualization, we'll be learning about Power BI and Tableau. Not just that, if you want to stand out in the market, we will also be teaching you Python programming along with the data science libraries. If you want to know more about this course, then you can find the attached brochure in our description, or you can also fill the form provided in our description. Now let's get started, guys.
So far we have discussed that what is MongoDB and why should we opt for MongoDB over SQLite or MySQL. In our today's session, let's have a look on how we can install it as well. So installation process is very simple. First of all, let's go to our browser. Once we have opened our browser, we need to simply type MongoDB. So I'll be writing MongoDB community download. We need to go over here. On the top, you will find MongoDB community download. As soon as you'll click on it, you will be redirected on a page like this. Here, what do we need to offer? We need to offer MongoDB community server. As soon as you'll click it, on the right hand side, you can see available downloads. So current version that we have over here is 6.0.0 and we have it on Windows. Now let's download it. So as soon as you'll click on download, you will get a pop-up like this. All you need to do is click on save. Once you'll click on save, it will start getting downloaded. So we'll just wait for a while. So it is like 479 MB. So it would take a little while. And let's just wait for it to get downloaded. Once it will get downloaded, we'll install it as well. So just pay attention to what all check buttons, check marks I'll be checking. So guys, once it has been downloaded, I'll click on it and it would give you a pop-up like this. We need to click on next. We need to accept the terms in the license agreement. If you want to read it, you can read it, and I'll just tick mark it and I'll click on next. We'll click on complete. After clicking on complete, we have this over here. You do not have to do anything over here. It just gives you the data directory and the log directory. We'll click on next. And over here, remember to check mark this, that install MongoDB Compass. So here I'll just check mark it and click on next and then click on install. It would take a little while over here again. So let's just wait for it, and it asks that do you want to allow this application to make any changes to the device, and you need to click on yes. And it will just take a little while over here. Once we're done, we'll click on finish. So in some cases with some people, the Compass will open directly. If in your case the Compass doesn't open after the installation process, then in that case you need to download the Compass as well. So over here we need to download MongoDB Compass. So MongoDB download Compass. And I'll just click here, and again on the right hand side you will find a version 1.32.6, and let's just click on download here, and let's just wait for it to get downloaded as well. In some cases it will download automatically along with DB, but in my case it was happening like that. So that's why if with you also the same thing happens, in that case you can download the Compass like this. So once it has been downloaded, let's click on it, and as you can see over here we have a pop-up that MongoDB Compass is being installed. And this is how the MongoDB Compass looks like. Now you must be wondering that what is MongoDB Compass. So basically MongoDB Compass is the one where we can see our data, like just like how we have the browser for SQLite or MySQL. Similarly, we have Compass, MongoDB Compass for our MongoDB. So here we will be seeing all the data. Here you can see we have this key also over here which we will be using in our program. So this will be the key to connect basically your program basically with your shell over here. And I guess I have one database over here, and for the database you can just click on database, and here we have admin, configuration and local. So yeah, this is how it looks like. So if you want to create a database directly, you can create a database directly from here, but we will be learning that how to create a database with the help of Python in our next session. So we'll be seeing that. Now to work with Python, what we need to do, we need to simply go to our command prompt. So here I'll just go to command prompt and I'll be writing pip install pymongo. So it will automatically not get connected. The database will definitely not get connected directly. What we need to do, we need to install pymongo. With the help of pymongo, what we'll be doing, we will be connecting our PyCharm with the database. For me, I have downloaded it already. So as soon as I'll press enter, it would say the requirement is already satisfied. But in your case, it will simply get downloaded. So I hope guys that the download procedure over here is clear to you, that how we have downloaded the MongoDB, and if the Mongo Compass doesn't opens along with the DB, in that case what you can do, in that case you can go and download the Mongo Compass like externally. So guys, in our previous session we have covered that how we can install our MongoDB. In our today's session we will be talking about how we can create a database. So guys, creating a database is very simple in our MongoDB. So we'll be looking at two methods by which we can do it. Let's have a look at them. So our first method would be using the MongoDB itself. That means if you can just directly open your MongoDB Compass. Once you open MongoDB Compass, you can create database. You can see on the left hand side we have an option to create database. Once you'll click on the create database, you'll get the pop-up like this where it says write the name of the database, and you can create a collection over here. Now what is collection? So inside one database you can have multiple collections which will store your data. Okay, so you can define the database name, you can define the collection name. Once you have written both the details, you can click on create database. So I'll just show it to you. So let's say I have a database of a school, and let's say it's the marks of the student. The collection is of marks of students. Once, as you can see, I have written the school name and the marks over here. That means I have written the database name and the collection name over here. I have got a button over here which says create database. As soon as I'll click on it, you can see a database with the name of the school has been created, which has one collection, that is marks. Okay. This is how you can create a database. Or another way, so the major way with which we will be doing it is with the help of the Python. That how with the help of the Python we can create a database. So that is also very simple. For that we need to simply go to our PyCharm. So here we'll go and let's import our MongoDB here. So we'll be writing PyMongo. Once we have imported PyMongo, we need to define our client here. So I'll be creating a variable called as client. Client is equals to PyMongo.MongoClient, and here I'll be giving two parameters. Our first parameter would be the localhost, and our second parameter would be the port number. So if I go back over here and if I go to connect and new connection, you will see it will show you a URL which says localhost and the port number is 27017. So we'll just copy this port number from here and go back to PyCharm, and here I'll just paste it. So 27017 is the port number. Every time when we want to connect, we want to build a connection over here between the PyCharm, that means between the Python and our MongoDB. For that we need to write this line specially. So we will create a variable called as client, in which we will be writing PyMongo.MongoClient. And here we will be passing two parameters. One will be the local host and the other one would be the 27017. Also, you can write the whole string over here. The choice is totally up to you, but I would recommend you can write local host and then the port number like this. Once it is done, if you want to view the list, like right now you can see that we have 4 databases. If you want to view the list over here, what you need to do is write print client dot list of database names. So we have list of database names. As soon as we'll run it, the output would look like this, that we have school, admin, config and local. And if I'll open this as well, so here you will see we have school, which has a collection called as marks. Then we have admin, config and local. So these are the databases that we have. Now how to create a database. So this is just to show that how many databases we have already. If you want to create a database, simply I'll give a variable called as db is equals to client, and in the square brackets you can pass the name of this database. So let's say that I am going to talk about a company over here which has different employees. So we'll be keeping the record of the employee data here. Okay, so the name of the database is company, and you can in the similar way you can create the collection as well. For creating a collection, we'll be writing col is equals to db, and in the square bracket I'll be giving the name of the collection. So let's say that the company is what? The company is db, the company is the database, and the collection would be let's say I'm keeping the record of the employees here, right? So I can write over here employee data. Okay. And to know, like, even if I'll run it, I will not know over here that the database has been created or not. So if there is any error, how to show that there is an error? What we'll do, we'll simply write print db, or you can write the whole thing, that database created. And as soon as I'll run it, you can see over here it got printed database created, but is it really created? Let's have a look on that. So I'll simply go back here and go to view, and it says reload data, and go to databases. So here we have admin, config, local and school, but there is no data called as company without any collection. Why this is happening? Because when we create it using Python, until and unless, so database is there, but it won't show it to us until and unless we insert any one data inside it. So all we need to do is we need to insert one data. For that, let's create a dictionary over here. So I'll be taking a data of an employee. So I'll be just writing it as dictionary. Dictionary is equals to, and here I'll be writing the name. The name of the employee is John, whose age is 24, whose ID, or you can write employee ID. So whose ID is 0123. And lastly, you can write the designation. So we can just tell the branch, and the branch would be, let's say, manager. So I'll just keep it 123 over here instead of 0123. Now this is the data that I need to insert in my database. So to insert it, we'll be learning about the insert query, insert many query and insert one query in our next session. But as of now, just to show you the database, that database is actually there, but right now it is not showing it to us. The shell is not showing it to us because there is no data inside it. So until and unless we provide it with the data, it won't show it to us. So let's add the data. For adding the data here, I'll be writing, let's create a variable a is equals to colon dot insert one. So we will be inserting the values here. And what do we need to insert? We will be inserting the dictionary. So inside this column, column is what? Column is our employee data. So in our DB company, we have a column that means collection. So for that, I'll be creating a variable a is equals to collection dot insert one, and what we will be inserting our dictionary. So how it will work, that we have a database called as company, in which we have a collection called as employee data, and inside the employee data we will be inserting this dictionary over here, that means this value here. Now let's run and see. So as soon as I'll run it, nothing will happen over here, but now let's go back to our shell and let's refresh it. For refreshing, we'll click on view and we'll click on reload data. As soon as we'll reload it, you can see over here we have a database called as company. Let's open it. So it says we have a collection called as employee data, which has one document. Let's open it as well. So you can see over here we have ID. The ID is self-created. Then we have name. Name is John. Age is 24. Employee ID is 123 and the branch is manager over here. So this is how the collection basically goes inside it. Now if I'll add one more data, it would create another collection over here which has a separate ID here, and then name, age, employee ID and branch. In this way we can create multiple collections over here, multiple data over here. We can provide with multiple data. This is how the data is viewed. Like there are no rows, there are no columns here, there is no table. It comes in a format of a document, just like how we have provided to it. And there is no limit to any horizontal data. That means if you want to add more things to it, if you want to, like in the next data, you want to add, let's say how much salary is being paid to that particular employee, or any other detail about that employee. If you want to add more details also, you can add more details. There is no restriction to number of columns over here. So I hope guys that over here this is clear that how we have created a database. Simply one method is that you can go to shell and directly create a database, or with the help of Python we can import PyMongo. After that we need to create a client. We need to declare a database over here. So variable called as database. Inside that we'll be writing client, and this bracket will be passing the name of the database. After that, inside the database we need to create a collection. For collection we'll be writing col is equals to, and write the name of the database, that is DB, and employee data is the name of the collection. After this we have printed a database just to make sure that there is no error, and we won't be able to view this database unless we add one data to it. And for adding the data we have created a dictionary here, and we have used collection.insert one. That means we need to insert this one data. And what is this one data? This dictionary is our one data, so this is the data that we need to insert. So guys, in a previous session we have covered how to create a database in our MongoDB. In our today's session we will be talking about how we can insert the data. So far we know that how we can create a database. We have seen two methods. That one, we can directly open the shell and create a database. Second, with the help of Python, how we can create a database. We have seen that in our previous session.
If you want to become a successful data analyst, and if you want to learn data analytics live from our industry experts, WsCube Tech got you covered. We bring you a complete course on data analytics where we will be starting our journey with the Excel. Moving ahead, we'll be talking about the databases where we'll be learning MySQL. And then for visualization, we'll be learning about Power BI and Tableau. Not just that, if you want to stand out in the market, we will also be teaching you Python programming along with the data science libraries. If you want to know more about this course, then you can find the attached brochure in our description, or you can also fill the form provided in our description. Now let's get started, guys.
Now today we will be adding some data to it. So we can add data in three different ways. We can insert one data at a time, then we can insert multiple data all together, and then third we will learn how to take an input from the user and insert that data inside our MongoDB. So let's have a look on how it can be done. First of all, to insert data, let's import PyMongo. So I'll be writing PyMongo here. Once we have imported PyMongo, we'll build a connection. For that I'll be writing client. Client is equals to pymongo.mongoclient, and again we'll be giving the two parameters. First would be the local host, and second would be the port number, that is 27017. So this is our port number. Once we have talked about the port number as well, the next thing that we are going to do over here is write the name of the database. For that I'll be writing db is equals to client, and this square brackets we will be passing the database. The name of the database is company, the one which we created in our previous session. So I'll be using the same, and we'll be adding more data of an employee. So we'll go to company, and inside the company we have a collection of employee data. Inside that collection we'll be adding it. So we'll be writing col, that is our collection. Inside this I'll be writing db. In the square brackets we will pass employee data. So this is the name of our collection. Once we are done with this, now we need to insert the data. Just like how we have done in our previous session, we will be using the same method over here, that first of all we will be creating a dictionary, and inside the dictionary we will be giving things like, I'll be giving name. So name would be, let's say, John. Age would be, let's say, 24. And I guess John's data, we have given John's data in our previous sessions. Let's go with David this time. So we have David, whose age is 24 and whose employee ID is 124. And lastly, the branch. So branch would be, so I need to put the branch inside the double quotations, and branch would be, let's say, IT. Now this is one dictionary. I need to insert one data. Because I need to insert one data here, I'll be using x is equals to collection. That means we'll be defining our collection here, and inside this collection we will be using insert one, because we need to insert one data only. What is this one data? The dictionary is our one data. And here, once I'll run this, I'll get the output. I'll not get anything in output, but if you want to obtain its ID as well, so if you remember in our previous session, we have seen there was some object ID over there. If you want to obtain that, you can simply write print x dot inserted ID. That means whatever data has been inserted, give us its ID. So here I'll be writing this, and the ID would be 62FB80. Let's have a look on MongoDB. So here I'll go and I'll just click on reload data, and as you can see here, we have got 62FB and 80, something like this. So this is our ID, and we have the name as David, age is 24, employee ID is 124, and the branch over here is IT. So this is how we can obtain the data over here. We can insert the data. So this is adding the single data. If I'll run it again, let's see what happens if I'll run it again. So as soon as I'll run it, nothing will change over here, but you will now see that we will get another ID here. And if I'll go to MongoDB and refresh it, so for refreshing, I'll go to view and click on reload data, and now you will see I have received another ID over here. So this one is pretty different from the previous one that we had. So in the end, you can see here we have one E6, while here we have EFD. So this is how we can obtain the data. Now this was adding one data. Suppose if you want to add multiple data, in that case what you can do is you can add a list over here. So to add a list, I'll be just opening a square bracket here and closing one here. We'll put a comma. Let's copy this whole data, and we will just change the name and the other things of the employees. So the keys will remain the same, but the values will change over here. So let's say the next employee over here is Lisa, whose age is 31, whose employee ID is 125, and lastly the branch over here is, let's say, manager. I'll put a comma and paste it again. So the next person over here is Ben, not D-Ben but Ben, and the age of the Ben, so the age of the Ben is, let's say, 22, and here I'll be writing 126, and the branch over here is, let's say, designer. And we need to change the first data as well, because this data has been added already. So I'll be writing something else. For example, I'll be writing Jacob, whose age is 24, employee ID is 127, and branch is, let's say, social media. Okay, and now you will simply see in front of insert one, we can see that there is an error over here. Why this error is there? Let's run and see. So as soon as I'll run it, it says document must have an instance of dictionary bson dots on, and just ignore that. What it exactly means is that we cannot use insert one over here. We need to use insert many. So as soon as I'll write insert many, I'll get the output, but now it is showing the error in this line. So why it is there? Because instead of ID now we have multiple IDs, because now we are adding 3 data over here. So instead of ID we will be obtaining the IDs, and as soon as we'll run it, the output would look like this, that we have ID of the 3 data that we have inserted just now. And let's go to MongoDB, and here I'll click on reload. As soon as I'll reload it, I'll get the last 3 data, that is Jacob, Lisa and Ben. So Jacob, whose age is 24, employee ID is 127, and the branch is social media. Similarly we have the data of Lisa and Ben. So this is how we can add multiple data in one time. Similarly, if you want to take the input from the user and then add the data, in that case what we can simply do, so we have the database, we have the collection. Now what we need to do, we need to simply write while true. So I'll be writing while true, because we'll be using an infinite loop, and I'll be taking the input from the user for all these things. For example, name is equals to input, enter name, Similarly, we'll have a variable called as age. Age is equals to input and age. Then next thing that we have over here is employee ID. Now this thing over here, okay, both age and employee ID will come in the integer, so I'll be adding an integer in front of it. Here in the employee ID, I'll do the same, so I'll be writing in int input, enter employee ID, and lastly branch. For that again I'll be writing branch. Branch is equals to input, enter your branch. Now once we are done with this, we need to store it inside a dictionary. So for that I'll be creating a dictionary over here, that dict is equals to inside this square bracket, so we can directly put, because we are adding one data at a time, so we can simply put a dictionary like this. The keys will be the name and the variables, that means the value would be these variables that we have written down over here, that is this name, and then we will have age as the key and age as the value. Next we'll have employee ID as the key, and similarly we'll have employee ID as the value, and lastly we'll have branch as the key and branch as the value. Once we are done with this, we need to simply add this data just like how we have done it before. So let me just put this inside the comments, and I'll be writing here x is equals to column, the name of the collection, the name of the collection, dot insert one, because this is one data which is going inside it, and we'll put a dictionary. Now this once once the user asks for the information, the data has been inserted, we need to come out of the loop as well, right? For that I'll be writing repeat is equals to input, do you want to add more data, and we can give the answers in yes/no, not na but no. Okay. And lastly, if the answer, so if the person replies to this repeat as no, that means if the person writes no to this repeat, in that case we will break the loop. So if repeat is equals to no, in that condition we will break the loop. So as soon as we'll run it, here we have enter name, so let's enter the name. So we have Maria, whose age is let's say 25, whose employee ID is 128, and whose branch is IT. Do you want to add more data? Let's write no here. As soon as I'll write no, the program will finish here, but let's go to MongoDB and see if it is actually working for us or no. So here we can see we have the data of Maria over here, whose age is 25, employee ID is 128, and the branch is IT here. So guys, in our previous session we have covered how to insert data in our databases. In our today's session, we will be talking about how to find this data. Let's have a look on how this find works over here. So to find the data over here, let's first import PyMongo. So I'll be writing PyMongo here. Once we have imported PyMongo, we will build a connection over here. So I'll be writing client is equals to PyMongo dot Mongo client. Inside this, we'll be giving two parameters. One is our local host, and the second one over here is the port. So 27017 is our port. Once we're done with this, we will be defining that on which database we have been working. So we have been working on baby is equals to client, and in the square brackets we will be passing company, and here we will be writing our collection name. So collection is DB, and in the square bracket we will be writing employee data. So we have imported PyMongo, we have created the connection here, we have our database, and we have the collection. Correct. Once we're done with this, we need to find the data. So to find one data here, what we can do, we can simply write print, or we can create a variable x is equals to collection dot find and print x. Now as soon as I'll run it, over here it will give me data like this, that pymongo.cursor.object. So we don't need this object. What we need to do over here is very simple. So because we are talking about one data over here, the find is used for the multiple data. So because we are talking about the one data, we will be using find underscore one. And now if I run it, I'll get the first data over here, that is name John, age 24, employee ID 123, branch is manager. Similarly, if you want to obtain all the data here, in that case, what you can do, you can simply write a for loop. In a for loop, we will be using the find option now. So for x in colon collection dot find colon print x. Now let's run and see. So as soon as I'll run it, I'll get the ID here. Along with the ID, we have name, age, employee ID, and the branch of all the details, all the data that we have inside our MongoDB. So here we have received all the data using the find option. So find one is used when you want to obtain one data, while if you want to obtain all the data, in that case we can use find. Now here there are multiple options along with the find over here. If you want to specify that which field you want, suppose I don't want all of them, what I want is name and let's say the branch. Okay, and for that what I'll be doing, I'll be leaving one curly braces here empty, and in the other another curly braces I'll be defining that here we have first thing as ID. So underscore ID. You're aware of the concept of 0 and 1. 0 means off, 1 means on. That is our boolean, right? That 0 means that thing will not be displayed. 1 means that thing will be displayed. So we don't want ID to be displayed. That's why we'll write 0. I want name to be displayed. In that case, I'll be writing name colon 1. That means all the names should appear. And lastly, branch 1. And now if I'll run it, you will now see that we have received name John, branch is manager, name Peter, branch is IT, name Peter, branch is IT again, name Maria, branch is manager, then we have designer, social media, and again IT. So this is how you can do it. But what if I'll remove ID from here? So if I remove this data, in that case, if I'll try to run it, suppose you can see over here, there is an error that says cannot do exclusion on field branch in inclusion projection, full error. What is this error? Why this error is coming? That if you have not defined the ID, you need to define ID. You cannot give 1 and 0 in the single object here. Okay, so we need to define ID, and for that I'll just put it in this way, and now if I run it, we'll get the output like this. Okay, so defining ID is very important if you want something to be displayed and not displayed. And suppose there is only one field which you do not want to display. In that case, what we can do is simply we can write over here, for example, I don't want, say, the employee ID to be displayed. So I'll be writing employee ID column 0, and I want rest of everything to be displayed. In that case, if I'll run it, see, you will notice that everything is displayed except for the employee ID. So we have ID, we have name, we have age, we have branch, but no employee ID is here. So this is how we can view the data using find. So we have seen three things over here. First of all, we have used find one to fetch one data. If you use find all, that means if you want to fetch all the data, in that case we will just use find along with the for loop so that we can obtain one data in each line here. And after that, we have seen a method in which if you want to display a particular field, you can display a particular field, and if you do not want to display any particular field, in that case also we can write 0 for them. So guys, in our previous session, we have covered that how we can find the data in our database. Now, in our today's session, we will be talking about if you want to find a particular field. For example, we are looking in the previous data, we have obtained the whole data in once, or we have used find one to obtain the first data. But what if you want to find the data? For example, if you have a database of school, right? And if you want to obtain all the students, the name of all the students who have scored more than 90 marks. In that case, how you can find that kind of data? For that, in our Python, in our MongoDB, we have a thing called as query. Now, what is query over here? Query is not itself a function or it's a statement or any keyword over here. Query means over here that if you want to find and filter the data, in that case, we can use query. Now, how does this query work? Let's have a look on that. So here, first of all, let's import PyMongo. So I'll be writing import PyMongo. For building a collection, I'll be writing client. Client is equals to PyMongo dot Mongo client. And inside this, I'll be passing our local host. And plus, I'll be passing the port number over here, that is 27017. Once we have given this, the next thing that we are going to do over here is define our database, that on which database we are working on. So we will be working on our company's database. So I'll be writing db is equals to client, and in the square bracket I'll be writing company. Similarly, I'll be defining the collection as well. So collection is equals to db, where again in the square bracket I'll give the name of the collection, that is the employee data. Okay, so let's just go to Mongo shell once, and over here I'll click on the databases. Once we have clicked on the databases, we have two databases that we have created. In school we have nothing as of now, but in company we have some data. So I'll just go here and I can open the data here. Now filter, now right now there is less data over here, but what if I want to find all the employees whose age is more than 25? Okay, so in that case what I'll be doing, there are several methods in our MongoDB to filter the data. So first method over here is where you can write directly where the age matches. The second method over here is you can use the regular expressions, and thirdly you can use the operations. So we'll be talking about these operations as well. We have talked about regular expressions before, so I won't be covering that part in detail, but talking about what all operations we have over here, let's have a look on that. So here we have some query operations. First of all, we have equality. For equality, we directly write the key and the value. For if you want to find the less than value, for example, you have given marks, and if I want to find less than those marks, in that case I'll be using key, and then after that in the value I'll be using another key, that is dollar less than. LT means less than. Similarly for greater than, again we will be using the key. Again for the value over here we will be writing this dollar greater than, and then we will be passing the value like greater than, let's say 50, greater than 80, greater than 90, whatever it is. Okay, then less than equal to over here, for less than equal to we have dollar LTE, that means less than equal. For greater than we have dollar GTE, that means greater than equal. Similarly we have not equal to. For not equal to we have NE, that means not equal. For logical operations over here, just like how we use and, or, and not, for that we have dollar and, dollar or, and dollar not, where we will be giving the expressions like this, that whatever and means, so it will filter and obtain us the data that will satisfy both our conditions. Or means that it should at least satisfy one of the given conditions, and not means it should not satisfy both the conditions. So that kind of data we will be getting over here with the help of what, and, or, and not. So these are some operations that we will be using to filter the data. Now let's have a look on how we can actually filter the data. Now to filter the data, I will be writing one variable called as query. So inside the query, what we are going to do, inside the query we will be writing the age, because let's go to MongoDB once again, and let's say I want to define the age which is equal to 25. Okay, I just want to know the employees whose age is 25. In that case, what I'll be doing, I'll be simply writing age where A is capital, and age colon, the value would be 25. Okay, so 25 is an int, so I'll be writing 25. After this, what I'll be doing, I'll be putting it inside our find option, just like how we have used find in our previous session. Similarly, we will be using find again. So here we will be writing data is equals to collection dot find, and inside the find I'll be passing this query. Okay, and then how to obtain this data? To obtain the data, I won't be writing directly print statement. We can use a for loop, because if we have multiple data where age is 25, in that case we will be obtaining all that data, right? So I'll be using a for loop over here, that for x in data colon print x. Let's run and see what output we'll get over here. So as soon as I'll run it, here the output would look like this, that we have two of them where the age is 25. So two employees are there whose age is 25. One is the Ben whose age is 25, and the one is the Rebecca. So this is how we can obtain the data, just like this. So in our previous session we have learned how to obtain all the data, how to obtain the first data. But if you want to define any filter over here, that you want any filter over here, in that case we can use this. Now what if you want that the employee should be all the employees whose age is greater than 25. Those employees, the list of those employees should appear over here. In that case, what we will be doing, we will be using the operations over here. For that, in the value I'll be writing, so for greater than we will be writing dollar symbol and GT. GT means greater than. You can also write greater than equal to. For greater than equal to we have GTE. So let's just first try greater than, and then we will be talking about greater than equal to. Okay, greater than and greater than what? Greater than 25. Okay, now let's run and see. So as soon as I'll run it, so here we have three data which is greater than 25, that is Peter and Jacob. So their age is 31, as we can clearly see. So here we have in total we have 7 data, but we are obtaining 3 of them whose age is more than 25. Okay, now what if I want greater than 25 and greater than equal to 25? Okay, so instead of greater than we will be writing GTE, that means greater than equal to. So in that case, if I'll run it, I'll be getting 5 of them, because there are 5 employees who are greater than and equal to 25. Here we have Peter, Ben, Jacob and Rebecca. So this is how we have obtained the data. Similarly, you can use regular expressions also over here. For regular expressions, simply we'll be writing, here we'll be writing regex. I'll close this, and in the colon what we'll be passing, let's talk about not age, but let's go over here, and I want the name of all the employees whose names start with alphabet M and greater. Okay, so name of all the employees so over here what I want is name of all the employees whose branch name starts with I. Okay, so whose branch name starts with I. So in that case here instead of age we will be passing branch, and here in the regular expressions we will be passing whose that the name of those employees whose branch starts with capital I. So in that case I'll be writing over here circumflex and I. Now let's run and see what output we'll get over here. So as soon as I'll run it, we have 3 outputs, and I means IT over here. So we have 3 employees who work in the IT branch, and that is Peter, and Rebecca. So this is how we have obtained the output. I hope this thing is clear to you, that how we have filtered the data and we have obtained the output. We have seen 3 methods over here. The first method is when you can directly declare that this is the particular address, or this is a particular age, or this is a particular branch. You can directly declare things. If you want the greater than and lesser than or equal to, not equal to, in that case we can use operations. Similarly, we can use the regular expressions as well to define, to filter the data that we want from our database. So guys, in our previous session we have learned how to sort the data. So in our today's session we will be talking about how to delete the data. So we know that how we can insert the data, sort the data, find the data. That means we can fetch the data, right? And filter it. So in our today's session, we will be talking about that if you have some unwanted data and you want to delete it, in that case, how you can delete a data. We'll be looking at that. We'll be looking at how we can delete a particular one data. If you want to delete multiple data, in that case, how you can delete it. And lastly, if you want to drop the whole collection, then how we can drop the whole collection with the help of PyMongo. So let's have a look on how it can be done. So first thing over here is let's import our PyMongo here. So import PyMongo. Once I have imported PyMongo, let's build the connection between the client and our PyCharm. So I'll be writing client, that is our MongoDB, and we'll be writing PyMongo dot Mongo client, and here I'll be passing 2 parameters. First one would be the local host, and the second one would be our port number, that is 27017. Once we are done with this, the next thing that we are going to do over here is create a database. Not create a database, but work on the database, that from which database we want to delete this folder or the file. Okay, so here I'll be writing db is equals to client. In the square brackets I'll be passing the name of the database, that is company, and next thing that I'll be passing over here would be our collection. The name of the collection would be db, and in the square brackets we'll be passing employee data. Once we are done with this, we have written all these 4 lines. The next thing that we need to do over here is delete it. Now how we will be deleting it? Again, for deleting a data we will be using the method of query. So we will be passing a query over here. So in the query I'll be writing where, let's say, so we are talking about this data that we have in MongoDB, where we have employee ID is this and this is that. So if we are right now talking about one data, so let's talk about this one. So where the employee ID is 126, I want to delete that data. Okay, so employee ID is 126 for Ben. Okay, let's delete the Ben's data. So I'll be writing over here where employee ID, I guess there is an underscore in between, plus the D is not capital. So employee ID is equals to 126. In that data needs to be deleted. But right now we haven't yet used the delete function. So for that we will be writing collection dot delete 1. We will be using the delete option over here. So I'll be writing delete 1 because I want to delete one data over here, and inside this I'll be passing my query. And let's close the brackets as well. Let's run and see what will happen here. So here nothing will happen and no error is also there. That means there is no error here. And here if I'll open it, right now I can see Ben's data is there. Let's refresh and see what happens to the data. And yeah, after 25, okay, you can see over here we do not have Ben's data. Previously there were 7 documents here, but now we only have 6 of them. That is John, Peter, Maria, Jacob and Rebecca. So we have 7 data. We have 6 data over here. Previously we had 7. So this is how a document has been deleted. Now what do I need to do? I need to delete the multiple data from here. For example, if you want, you can add more data. As of now, you can see over here I only have 5 documents here. Sorry, 6 documents here. And if you have bulk of data, in that case, deleting many would be very helpful because I have less data only over here. That's why we used delete 1. Now let's talk about if you have multiple data, how you can delete a multiple data. For multiple data, if you want to add more data to it, we can add more data. So let's just add more data to it. For that, I'll be quickly going on insert. Let's run the insert and let's add some 4 to 5 more data. So I'll be adding the value as, okay, let's call him Ram Sham. So I'll be adding some values over here. For example, again, I'll be adding the data of Ben, whose age is, let's say, 24. whose employee ID is 126, which we have deleted, and the branch is IT. Similarly, yes, I want to add more data. Again, enter name. So we have Jessica, whose age is 25, whose employee ID is 120. Let's take it 129, and the branch is SM, that is social media. Do you want to add more data? Let's add more data. Yes, and let's call this time Ria, whose age is 31 and whose employee ID is 130 and branch is designer. And I don't want to add more details, I'll write no here, and here it will be executed. Let's go to MongoDB and let's refresh this data as well. So as soon as I'll reload it, you can see now we have 9 documents over here. Now let's delete many data. So how I want to delete? I want to delete all the people whose age is 31. Okay, so 31, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So I have 4 employees whose age is 31 and I want to delete their data. Now how to delete that data? For that we'll be writing simply over here. So I'll be coming back to delete data here, and we can simply write a query that people whose age is greater than 25. So I'll be using the operations over here. For that I'll be writing age. I'll be opening another dictionary over here which says $. So we'll be using a query. In the query we'll be using operations greater than let's say 25, and we'll pass this. And now this time what we will be doing, instead of executing one, because there are multiple people whose age is more than 25, in that case we will be writing execute many. Okay, if you want to see how much data has been deleted, we have one option over here. We can write print collection dot, we have deleted count, something like that. Also, okay, if you want to see like how we can obtain over here that how much data has been deleted, we can store it inside the variable called as a is equals to collection dot delete many query, and here we can print a dot deleted count. That means deleted count will give us the count over here of the data, and let's run and see. So here 4 data has been removed. Let's go to MongoDB and let's refresh over here. So I'll just click on view, reload data. And again, previously we had 9 documents, now we have 5 of them. That means 4 has been deleted. What are those 4? Those 4 are the age where the age is greater than 25. So here, wherever the age is greater than 25, in that case the data has been deleted. This is how our delete many work. So if you want to delete multiple data, in that case we can use delete many, and if you want to remove single data, in that case we can use delete one. Similarly, here also you can use the regular expressions in the place of query. So if you want, you can use regular expressions. If you want, you can use these operations as well. Lastly, talking about if you want to drop the whole collection, like I want to drop the whole collection employee data. In that case, what I'll be doing, I'll just put this inside the comments and I'll be writing collection dot drop and open close the parentheses. Now let's run and see what will happen. So as soon as I'll run it, nothing will happen here and there is no error as well. Let's go to MongoDB. And let's reload the data. So there is no employee data. Basically, this collection is not there anymore. Let me just reload it again. Let me just run it again. And if I come back over here and reload the data, so you will now see if I'll open the employees data, I won't be able to open it because the data is not there anymore. So if I go to databases and again if I'll just reload the data and go back, so you will now see that the company data is not there anymore. Why the company's data is not there anymore? Because it only had one collection, and now that collection is gone from here, there is no company database over here. So this is how this works. If you had multiple collections, suppose if I had 3 to 4 more collections over here, in that case only that particular collection would have got deleted. But here what is happening, here we only have one collection. So as soon as that collection was deleted, the database also got deleted. So in our today's session, we will be talking about how to delete the data. So we know that how we can insert the data, sort the data, find the data. That means we can fetch the data, right? And filter it. So in our today's session, we will be talking about that if you have some unwanted data and you want to delete it, in that case, how you can delete the data. We'll be looking at that. We'll be looking at how we can delete a particular one data. If you want to delete multiple data, in that case, how you can delete it. And lastly, if you want to drop the whole collection, then how we can drop the whole collection with the help of PyMongo. So let's have a look on how it can be done.
If you want to become a successful data analyst and if you want to learn data analytics live from our industry experts, WsCube Tech got you covered. We bring you a complete course on data analytics where we will be starting our journey with the Excel. Moving ahead, we'll be talking about the databases where we'll be learning MySQL. And then for visualization, we'll be learning about Power BI and Tableau. Not just that, if you want to stand out in the market, we will also be teaching you Python programming along with the data science libraries. If you want to know more about this course, then you can find the attached brochure in our description, or you can also fill the form provided in our description. Now let's get started, guys.
So first thing over here is let's import our PyMongo here. So import PyMongo. Once I have imported PyMongo, let's build the connection between the client and our PyCharm. So I'll be writing client, that is our MongoDB, and we'll be writing PyMongo dot Mongo client, and here I'll be passing two parameters. First one would be the local host and the second one would be our port number, that is 27017. Once we are done with this, the next thing that we are going to do over here is create the database. Not create the database, but work on the database, that from which database we want to delete this folder or the file. Okay, so here I'll be writing db is equals to client. In the square brackets, I'll be passing the name of the database, that is company, and next thing that I'll be passing over here would be our collection. The name of the collection would be db, and in the square brackets, we'll be passing employee data. Once we are done with this, we have written all these 4 lines. The next thing that we need to do over here is delete it. Now how we will be deleting it? Again, for deleting a data, we will be using the method of query. So we will be passing a query over here. So in the query, I'll be writing where, let's say, so we are talking about this data that we have in MongoDB, where we have employee ID is this and this is that. So if we are right now talking about one data, so let's talk about this one. So where the employee ID is 126, I want to delete that data. Okay, so employee ID is 126 for Ben. Okay, let's delete the Ben's data. So I'll be writing over here where employee ID, I guess there is an underscore in between, plus the D is not capital. So employee ID is equals to 126. In that data needs to be deleted, but right now we haven't yet used the delete function. So for that we will be writing collection dot delete 1. We will be using the delete option over here. So I'll be writing delete 1 because I want to delete one data over here, and inside this I'll be passing my query. And let's close the brackets as well. Let's run and see what will happen here. So here nothing will happen and no error is also there. That means there is no error here. And here if I'll open it, right now I can see Ben's data is there. Let's refresh and see what happens to the data. And yeah, after 25, okay, you can see over here we do not have Ben's data. Previously there were 7 documents here, but now we only have 6 of them. That is John, Peter, Maria, Jacob and Rebecca. So we have 7 data, we have 6 data over here. Previously we had 7. So this is how a document has been deleted. Now what do I need to do? I need to delete the multiple data from here. For example, if you want, you can add more data. As of now, you can see over here, I only have 5 documents here. Sorry, 6 documents here. And if you have bulk of data, in that case, deleting many would be very helpful because I have less data only over here. That's why we used delete 1. Now let's talk about if you have multiple data, how you can delete a multiple data. For multiple data, if you want to add more data to it, we can add more data. So let's just add more data to it. For that, I'll be quickly going on insert. Let's run the insert and let's add some 4 to 5 more data. So I'll be adding some values over here. For example, again, I'll be adding the data of Ben, whose age is, let's say, 24, whose employee ID is 126, which we have deleted, and the branch is IT. Similarly, yes, I want to add more data. Again, enter name. So we have Jessica, whose age is 25, whose employee ID is 120, let's take it 129, and the branch is SM, that is social media. Do you want to add more data? Let's add more data, yes, and let's call this time Ria, whose age is 31 and whose employee ID is 130 and branch is designer. And I do not want to add more data, so I'll write no here. And here it will be executed. Let's go to MongoDB and let's refresh this data as well. So as soon as I'll reload it, you can see now we have 9 documents over here. Now let's delete many data. So how I want to delete? I want to delete all the people whose age is 31. Okay, so 31, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So I have 4 employees whose age is 31 and I want to delete their data. Now how to delete that data? For that we'll be writing simply over here. So I'll be coming back to delete data here and we can simply write a query that people whose age is greater than 25. So I'll be using the operations over here. For that I'll be writing age I'll be opening another dictionary over here which says dollar. So we'll be using a query. In the query we'll be using operations greater than let's say 25, and we'll pass this. And now this time what we will be doing, instead of executing one, because there are multiple people whose age is more than 25, in that case we will be writing execute many. Okay, if you want to see how much data has been deleted, we have one option over here. We can write print collection dot, we have deleted count, something like that. Also, okay, if you want to see like how we can obtain over here that how much data has been deleted, we can store it inside the variable called as a is equals to collection dot delete many query, and here we can print a dot deleted count. That means deleted count will give us the count over here of the data, and let's run and see. So here 4 data has been removed. Let's go to MongoDB and let's refresh over here. So I'll just click on view, reload data. And again, previously we had 9 documents, now we have 5 of them. That means 4 has been deleted. What are those 4? Those 4 are the age where the age is greater than 25. So here, wherever the age is greater than 25, in that case the data has been deleted. This is how our delete many work. So if you want to delete multiple data, in that case we can use delete many, and if you want to remove single data, in that case we can use delete one. Similarly, here also you can use the regular expressions in the place of query. So if you want, you can use regular expressions. If you want, you can use these operations as well. Lastly, talking about if you want to drop the whole collection, like I want to drop the whole collection employee data. In that case, what I'll be doing, I'll just put this inside the comments and I'll be writing collection dot drop and open close the parentheses. Now let's run and see what will happen. So as soon as I'll run it, nothing will happen here and there is no error as well. Let's go to MongoDB. Let's reload the data. So there is no employee data. Basically, this collection is not there anymore. Let me just reload it again. Let me just run it again. And if I come back over here and reload the data, so you will now see if I'll open the employees data, I won't be able to open it because the data is not there anymore. So if I go to databases and again if I'll just reload the data and go back, so you will now see that the company data is not there anymore. Why the company's data is not there anymore? Because it only had one collection, and now that collection is gone from here, there is no company database over here. So this is how this works. If you had multiple collections, suppose if I had 3 to 4 more collections over here, in that case only that particular collection would have got deleted. But here what is happening, here we only have one collection. So as soon as that collection was deleted, the database also got deleted. So guys, in our previous session, we have covered how we can delete or drop a collection. In our today's session, we will be talking about how we can update in data. So guys, updating in data is very simple in our MongoDB. All we need to do is if you want to update one data, in that case, we will be using update one. And if you want to update multiple data, in that case, we will be using update many. So just like how we had insert one, insert many, delete one and delete many, similarly we have update one and update many. We'll have a look on how it can be done. So let's have a look on how it can be done in our PyCharm. So now first of all, to update the data, let's first import the library. So I'll be writing import pymongo, and not mymongo but pymongo. And once we have written pymongo, let's build the connection as well. So I'll be writing client is equals to pymongo dot mongo client. In this I'll be passing 2 values, that is the local host and the port number, that is our key number. I'll be writing 27017. Once this is done, the next thing that I'll be doing over here is this, we'll be telling that which database we are working on and what is the collection on which we are working on. So the name of the collection and defining the name of the database is also important here. So we'll be writing db is equals to client, and in the square brackets I'll be passing the name of the database. So right now the database which we are working on, its name is company, and the collection on which we are working on, it is our employee data. So I'll be writing db, in the square brackets I'll be writing employee data. Okay, now what do we need to do? We need to update some values over here. So let's go to our Mongo shell and let's see what all values needs to be updated over here. So here we have 8 data of 8 employees, that is John, David, Lucy, Maria, Ben, Jacob, Lisa and Rebecca. Okay. Now what do I need to do over here is that Lucy's birthday just passed and now her employee ID is 103, but over here the age should be 26. Now I need to increase the age by 1. So how I update it over here? Let's have a look on that. So what we can see over here is that we have employee ID here. So employee ID is something that is a unique ID here. So with the help of employee ID, we will be updating this value. So here I'll be simply writing, first of all I'll be writing that where do we have to update it. So here we have to update it at, so I'll be writing query is equals to, and in the braces I'll be writing that where our age is equal to 25, there we have to convert it to 26. Or we can also write over here where our employees detail, where let's say we have employee ID here. So where our employee ID is 105, there we have to update it, or 103, I don't know, I don't remember what it was, but okay, it was 103. So like over here you can write employee ID and in front of it you can write 103 as well. So let's just switch to employee ID, and employee ID's value is 103. Here we need to make the changes. What changes we have to make? We need to make the changes in the birth date, right? Like not the birth date but the age, right? Okay, so here I'll be writing new value is equals to, so for our new values, we will be writing our operation, and that would be inside the double quotation, that will be dollar, and we will be writing set. Set over here means that we have to set a new value. So set is describing here that we have to set a value over here. Where we have to set it? So let's create a dictionary for that. Where the age is equal to 25, there we have to set the age to 26. Okay, so we have to set the value of age to 26. And now we will be simply writing collection dot update 1, and inside this I'll be passing query, comma, and what value needs to be updated, so new value, and let's put it inside a variable. So I'll be writing data is equals to collection dot update, and let's use a for loop over here. So now here we'll be using a for loop, and in for loop I'll be writing that for x in collection dot find colon print x, and I'll be putting it inside the parentheses. Now let's run and see. So here as soon as I'll run it, and let's see the data has been updated or not. So you can now see over here that the Lucy's age was 25 in our MongoDB previously. So if I open MongoDB right now, so here you can see Lucy's age is 25. Let's reload the data, and as soon as I'll reload it, you can now see the Lucy's age has been converted to 26. So similarly, if you want to make any changes anywhere, that on employee, that let's say for employee ID 108, okay, this guy is in branch IT, but now he has been promoted to a manager. So you can change this thing to manager. So you can write where employee ID is 108. So we can define it over here that where our employee ID is 108, there what do we need to set? We need to set the branch to manager. Okay, so as soon as I'll run it here, you can now see Rebecca age is 28, employee ID is 108, and the branch is manager. Now let's go to MongoDB here. So right now I have not refreshed it, that's why it's showing me IT, but as soon as I'll refresh it, reload the data, in that case it would show me manager here. So this is how it has been changed. Okay, now next thing, this is updating one value. Suppose if you want to update multiple values over here. Now to update multiple values over here, there is one very simple method that what I'll do inside the queries, I'll just remove this data, and here I'll be giving a regular expression that wherever there is a manager. So we have 3 managers right now, they have been promoted and they are now senior managers. So what I need to change? I need to change their branch from manager to senior manager. Okay, in that case what I'll be doing, I'll be giving a query in this way that where do we have to change? We have to change the branch, and we will be giving a regular expression over here. That's why I'll be creating another dictionary which says regex, and along with the dollar colon, and here what we will be doing, we will be giving that in regular expression. What regular expression I'll be giving? That wherever the value of branch starts with the capital M, there it changes to senior manager. So I'll be giving circumflex and capital M, and here we have to set it to senior manager. So I'll just remove this branch manager to senior manager. Now as soon as I'll run it, let's see what output we will receive. Okay, so we have senior manager once only. Okay, because it's okay, we have multiple values here and we have only used update 1. We have to use update many over here. So this is because of this. So as soon as I'll use update many and then I will run it. So here all the managers will now get converted to senior managers. So we have 1, 2 and 3 senior managers working at our firm. And if I go to MongoDB, here we have 1 manager and then we have 2 and 3. So we have 3 managers here, and now let's reload the data. As soon as I reload it, these managers have been now converted to senior managers, and the data has been updated both on our PyCharm and over here as well. So we are receiving the output, updated output now. So I hope guys that how we can use update and update many over here is clear to you. We have one very simple method that we can define the previous query, that what is the previous query, what was the previous data which we wanted to update. Then we have to define the new data here, that what is our new data which we are about to update. And then after that we have to use collection dot update to update the new data to the previous data. That's why we will be giving the previous data and then we will be providing the new data, that is the new value. Lastly, with the help of for loop, we will obtain the data. And if you want to update one data, in that case you can use update one. If you want to update multiple data, in that case you can use update many. So guys, in our previous session we have covered that how we can update the data. Suppose if our data is old in our database and if we want to update it with a new data, how we can update that data, how we can update one single data, and how we can update multiple data at a time. So we have learned that in our previous session. In our today's session, we will be talking about a limit query. So guys, what is limit query over here is that if you want to obtain the first few data, or if you want to obtain data regarding some information, then how you can obtain that kind of data, we will be using the limit function for that. So let's have a look on how does a limit work. So for that, first of all, let's import PyMongo. I'll be writing import PyMongo, and after that we will be building the connection over here between the client and the PyMongo. So we have client is equals to PyMongo dot Mongo client, and here I'll be passing the two parameters that we have localhost, and not just local but the localhost, and we have 27017, that is our port number. Next thing that we have over here is that we have to define our database. So db is equals to, here I'll be writing client, and in the square brackets I'll be passing company, and here we will be writing collection is equals to db, and in the square brackets I'll be writing employee data. Okay, so the next thing that we have to do over here is we have to obtain the data, but how we have to obtain? By fixing a limit over here. Let's say I just want to obtain first 3 data. In that case, what I'll be doing, I'll be using a for loop, that for I in collection dot find, and after find I'll be using dot limit. Limit will define that till which limit we want the data. So if we want 3, then I'll be writing 3 here, and I'll be writing colon, and I'll be writing print, and print x, and print I. So now let's run and see. As soon as I'll run it, so I'll be obtaining the starting 3 data over here, that is John, David and Lucy. As if you go to your database as well, the first 3 data over here is John, David and Lucy here. Similarly, we have more data. If you want to obtain 5 data, in that case we will be writing 5, and we'll be getting the starting first 5 data. Similarly, if you write over here -3, in that case we will be getting the last 3 data here. So similarly, this is how the data is coming right now, that we have obtained 5 data. But what if I want the first 2 data of all the people who are in IT? Okay, in that case what I'll be doing, in the find I'll be writing branch. So I'll be defining a dictionary here, that where the branch is equal to IT, I want the limit of 2. Okay, so I want 2 people from the IT branch, and as soon as I'll run it, you will now see that we have 2 people, that is John and Lucy from IT. And if I go to MongoDB, I guess there are 3 people over here, but we have obtained 2 only because of the limit that we have provided. So here we have John, Lucy, Maria. Yeah, these 3 people are there in our IT, but we have received only 2 because we have given the limit of 2 here. So this is how you can define the limit. Like you can just simply write that till what limit you want the data, and you can also write that, suppose if you want to give a condition, that based on this condition give me a limit of 5 people. So suppose if you're working in a company and you just want okay, whosoever is in IT branch, and I just want 5 people from you. So in that case you can simply write that in the branch IT limit is 5 people, and randomly 5 people, not randomly but the starting 5 values will be obtained over here. So this is how we can obtain the data using the limit. So this is how basically our limit function works. So guys, in our previous session we have talked about how we can give a limit inside our database, like how if you want to obtain the data and you want to give a limit over there, that how much data you want to obtain in the Python, we can use a limit function over here. Similarly, today we will be talking about another function called as create index. So suppose we have index already over here, which is underscore id. It is an auto generated index that MongoDB gives to us. Right, but suppose if you want to create another index over here, which where you can give the values like 1 2 3 4, which will be easy to access. In that case, how you can do it, we'll have a look on that in our this session. So let's see how it can be done. So first of all, to do this, we will be importing our PyMongo. Once we have imported PyMongo, we'll be doing the next thing we'll be doing is the client. We'll build a connection over here. That client is equals to PyMongo dot Mongo client, and here I'll be passing the two parameters. One is the local host, and the second one is our port number, that is 27017. Moving ahead, the next thing that we will be doing is declaring the database and the collection. So db is equals to, in the square brackets, along with the client, I'll be passing the name of my database, that is company. And second thing that I'll be passing over here would be the collection. So right till now we are working on the collection. How about we work, because in collection we already have, like in company we already have this data, we already have this employee ID, so we do not need any other ID. Or if you want, we can create an ID in this one also, or if you want, we can create a school as well. So I think I'll just go with the ID. So we, instead of wasting time in creating another data collection over here and then inserting the data and all these procedures, let's just create an ID over here. Like we will be just writing emp ID. So we'll be having two employee IDs, but we will be just creating this index as a emp ID over here. Again, we will be working on the collection, that is db, and the square brackets I'll be passing the name of the collection, that is employee data. Once we are done with this, the next thing we have to do is first of all, let's obtain the list of IDs over here. To obtain the list of ID, we will be writing that I want to obtain the list of index. So list of index is equals to collection dot list indexes, open close the parentheses. To obtain the list of the indexes, first of all we will be writing collection dot, and we have over here index, and I'll be just looking for index. Okay, I'll just simply write that index info. So we need the index information over here, and in the index information I want to sort these values and I want to obtain this in a format of a list. So what we will be doing, we will be writing over here, I'll be creating a pair of parentheses. Here I'll be passing a list, and these values needs to be sorted. That's why we will be writing sorted. And here I'll just close the pair of parentheses here. Once we are done with this, we'll print it as well. So I'll just print list of index. Let's run and see right now what output we are getting here. As soon as I'll run it, I'll be getting ID. That ID is the only index ID that I have over here. But now if I want to create another index over here, in that case what I'll be doing, I'll be simply writing collection dot create index, and here I'll be writing a name of an index. For example, here I'll be writing emp ID. So emp ID, that is our employee ID. And here if you want it in the ascending order, we'll be writing 1. If you want it to be in the descending order, in that case you will be writing -1. So here we will be giving that if these IDs should be unique or not. So for that I'll be writing unique is equals to true. So we want these values to be unique over here. And after this, again I'll be using the same procedure, that I'll be passing the list of index, and here I'll be doing it as list of index 1, and here also list of index 1. Now let's run and see what output we will get over here. So once we're done with this and we have obtained the list of indexes over here, so we have only one index over here. Now if we want to create an index, we will be writing collection dot create index, and we will be creating an index over here. You can give any name to this index. For example, I'll be giving employee ID, and over here I'll be writing again the list of index 1 is equals to, and I'll be passing the same values over here. So instead of just doing this, let me just write this over here, and as soon as I'll run it, you will now see that I have obtained two indexes over here. A new index have been created over here, that is employee ID _1. The _1 has been auto generated here, and we will be using this new ID as employee ID _1, new index as employee ID _1. Let's go to our Mongo and let me just reload the data. So here you will see here nothing will happen, but if we go in indexes over here, we have a new index that has been created, that is called as employee ID. So this is the new index that you can create and work on. And lastly, if you want to obtain the information, you can simply write index _information, and it will give you the information of indexes that are present in your collection. So guys, in our previous session, we have covered how our create index query works. In our today's session, we will be talking about delete index query.
If you want to become a successful data analyst, and if you want to learn data analytics live from our industry experts, WsCube Tech got you covered. We bring you a complete course on data analytics where we will be starting our journey with the Excel. Moving ahead, we'll be talking about the databases where we'll be learning MySQL. And then for visualization, we'll be learning about Power BI and Tableau. Not just that, if you want to stand out in the market, we will also be teaching you Python programming along with the data science libraries. If you want to know more about this course, then you can find the attached brochure in our description, or you can also fill the form provided in our description. Now let's get started, guys.
So guys, what is delete index or drop index query? Let's understand that. So drop index over here means that if you want to delete a index, suppose in the last session, just like how we have created an index, if you want to drop the index over here in MongoDB, then in that case we can use the drop index query. Let's have a look on how it works. To make it work, first of all, we will be importing our PyMongo. After writing PyMongo, here we will be building the connection by writing client is equals to pymongo.mongo client, and here I'll be passing my two parameters, that is localhost, and the second one over here is the port number 27017. Once we are done with this, the next thing that we have to do over here is that we will be declaring our database. So database is equals to client, and the database in which we will be working on is called as company, and here in our collection we have DB, and the name of the database on which we are working is called as employee data. So as we have seen in our last session that we have added some index over here, so let's just refresh it. I'll just reload this data here and I'll go to database, and in the database we have company, we have employee data, and in the indexes we have our ID and employee ID 1. Now if I want to drop this, in that case what I'll be doing, I'll be simply writing collection dot drop index, and in the drop index we will be passing the name of our index that we want to delete. So we have over here is employee underscore ID underscore 1. So let's just copy it from here. Let's simply paste it over here, employee ID underscore 1. And then what we can do, we can get the list of indexes over here to see if it is executed or not. So I'll be writing list of indexes, and here I'll be writing collection dot we need the index information, right? So we'll be giving the index information. We want them sorted and we want them in a format of a list, so we will be writing list and also sorted. Let's close these parentheses as well. Now once you are done with this, we will be printing it. So let's print it, print list of indexes, and let's print list of indexes before and after. For before also, let's just print this and let's run it. So before we had ID and employee ID 1, and after the execution of collection dot drop index employee ID 1, we have received only one index over here. Suppose if you want to drop multiple indexes, in that case you do not need to write all these things. Simply you can write drop underscore indexes and open close the parentheses. As soon as I'll run it now, you will now notice that previously there was index and now again there are index. This data cannot be deleted. But if you have multiple indexes and you don't want to define them and you want to delete all of them, in that case you can use this. You can use drop indexes. But if you want to define that which index you want to drop, in that case you will be writing collection dot drop underscore index, and there inside the parameter you will be defining which index you want to drop over here. So guys, this was about dropping the indexes. I hope you have no doubts and no questions. So stay connected guys, and I'll see you in the next session. Thank you.